Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, I'm told it's National Sugar Cookie Day.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Sugar cookie? That's what Zsa Zsa used to call me.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
Zsa Zsa called me that.
Yeah.
Wilbon, how many people watching this show know who Zsa Zsa Gabor is, or her sisters, or her mother, besides us?
I'm going to say between 11 and 15 on any given day.
Yeah, that's all there is. Zsa Zsa Gabor, Jolie Gabor, Magda Gabor, Ava Gabor. Nobody knows them.
I only remember Ava.
Nobody knows them but us. Nobody knows but us. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, The Miz dominates the Dodgers. The NCAA tournament could be on the verge of expansion, and we've got not one but two inside-the-park homers to evaluate. But we begin today again with Wimbledon. On the men's side, top seed Jannik Sinner erased American Ben Shelton in straight sets, winning all the opportune points. Novak Djokovic lost the first set to Flavio Cobolli in a tiebreak, but stayed on the court for 3 hours and won the next 3 sets. On the women's side, Iga Swiatek, who wins a lot of French Opens but no Wimbledons, won in straight sets to reach the semifinals, and there she will play unseeded Belinda Bencic, who won in straight sets, both tiebreakers. Wilbon, what stood out to you?
The first thing that stood out to me is Belinda Bencic. She had a baby. She gave birth 15 months ago, about that, and she comes back and she's winning, and she's this deep into the most prestigious tournament in the world in her sport. That's a my God. Because the guys we're going to talk about, I can guarantee, I don't know much about their personal lives, but none of them have given birth. And I don't think anybody's unlikely to. So, given that, Tony, I watched pretty closely the men. You know, I've been waiting, hoping that Ben Shelton could break loose. But to break loose, to break free, to bubble up any higher than he is, he's got to beat, you know, he's got to win against a number one or a number two, and he might get that chance right now, right? He had that chance against Sinner. And Tony, to me, it's just that on those bigger points, he's not there yet. He's still young. He might get there, but he's not there now. Yeah. And Sinner, even though he's got this thing going on his elbow, he's got a wrap, he's got a wrist, he's got this, he's got that, he's got to stop, he's got to pull it, he's got to push it. He's better on the big points, and he's more creative throughout the match, which Ben Shelton's going to have to add to his game. So I spent most of my attention and energy on that match, even more so than Joker. I did.
My biggest takeaway from watching, and I watched a lot today, is one moment in time. It's right around the end of the Djokovic match when he falls down by the baseline and does this very awkward split as the ball goes by him, and he loses the second of 2 match points. In that moment, he's laying there in pain. It's obvious pain. Now, we hear all the time about his great conditioning and his amazing elasticity. He gets up and starts walking around. Doesn't call for a trainer. Doesn't have to leave the court. Doesn't come back in third. No. Has a brief conversation with somebody I think might have been the chair umpire, and then calls for the tennis balls and goes back, serves the next 2 points, and wins the match. I was really impressed with that, I have to say. So now he's going to get Sinner. You talked about Sinner beating Shelton. He's going to get Sinner in the semifinals, right? Now, they played the semifinals in the French, and Sinner beat him. And I could be mistaken here, but I think Sinner's beaten him something like 5 matches in a row.
4? I thought 4 in a row. Okay.
Whatever it is, it's a bunch. Okay, can he beat Djokovic on grass? This is the different thing. Can he beat him on grass, elbow or no elbow? You know, that I don't know. Djokovic is great at Wimbledon, and Djokovic has come into this thing talking about the fact that this is his best chance to get the 25th major. I will just add this parenthetically. I sort of find myself rooting for think you can be an all-time great if you don't win Wimbledon. Well, I think Wimbledon has to be in your resume.
Yeah, it probably does. Although the surface differences are not what they were when you and I were tennis fanatics. You know, it doesn't. You don't have the variety there. But I got your point, though. I hear you. Let's move to the Miz. Brewers rookie Jacob Misiorowski, who Tony kind of dismissed as an ordinary cheesehead yesterday, surrendered a leadoff home run to Shohei last night, and that was that. The Miz struck out 12 Dodgers over his first 5 and went 6-all, out pitching Hall of Fame bound Clayton Kershaw as the Cheeseheads beat the Dodgers 3-1. The Miz called it a dream come true. Tony, I think you heard about it by now. What do you call it?
I would call it Wilbon's revenge. You talked about this yesterday. You had it completely right. You touted the fact that Mizorowski was going to go up against Clayton Kershaw. You praised Mizorowski to the skies. I don't know that everybody understands that the reason you know about Mizorowski is he plays in the one division you pay attention to because the Cubs are there. But that doesn't matter. You had it right. I was skeptical about this whole thing. I was a little bit dismissive about it. As you said, he gives up a leadoff home run to Shohei Ohtani. He gives up nothing else. That's why people are opponent batting average against him is 138. He strikes out 12 Dodgers. You know the last guy who struck out 12 Dodgers over the course of 6 innings because he stayed in the game for 6 innings? The last guy was Shohei Ohtani when he was with the Angels, if you want to talk about irony. And before that, it was Max Scherzer, the Warrior God. So you had this thing right. My point all along, Mike, was the same. Was that let's not put him in the category of Kershaw now, maybe not ever, because Kershaw's going to the Hall of Fame and he's got 3,000 strikeouts. Yeah. But the Miz outpitched him last night, and if Kershaw didn't know who he was coming into the game, he knows now. My basic point is let me know when he wins 219, he's won 4.
Well, I'm going to pay attention before he gets to 219. And I remember a time when there's a fireballer comes along, and you wrote a column because I happened to look it up. And you wrote about this in the Washington Post when Kerry Wood struck out 1 million people. And you said, when there's a young, handsome fireballer, pay attention. So I'm taking the advice of a young Anthony Kornheiser who said pay attention. And so the Miz, though he is a cheesehead, and I am by birthright required to hate him, I watch this kid. I watch every start because he comes out and he throws 102. He throws gas, and he says, sit down. And then he can pinpoint it. Tony, he's not just a thrower.
Yeah,
there's enough of a pitcher in there to pay attention. Well, so I'm not going to say he's the equal of Kershaw yet, but I'm going to pay attention.
No. Last year you paid attention to Skeens, and you should be paying attention to him again. This is 2 in a row that we look at. Can they do it a second year? We moved to college basketball. There is persistent talk that the NCAA tournament, both men's and women's, will be expanded beyond the 68 teams that we have now. If such expansion takes place, it will either be to 72 teams or 76 teams. Wilbon, you and I are old enough to remember the 1970s when there were 16 teams in this tournament. If this expansion happens, how does the logic sit with you?
It doesn't. I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to boycott the tournament. I'm going to watch the tournament no matter what it does, probably. But, you're leaving this to a body. Up there, that logo that says NCAA, there's not a more worthless brand in sports. There's not a more mistrusted brand in all of sports than the logo that says NCAA. Because the people who rule for that body, they look like clowns much of the time as a body. Even if I know and we know people who represent the organization and have wonderful careers. But when they convene and they act in the name of NCAA, they get it wrong more often than not. So they're going to screw this up. It's an iconic event brand, the Final Four, March Madness, the big dance, all of that. And they're not smart enough to leave it alone.
The logic in this is very, very simple. There is only one reason for expansion, just one. It is money. It is more money. So the teams that come in at number 69 or number 71 or number 76, it doesn't matter what number they are. They can't win this tournament. They cannot win this tournament. They are in there to gin up television revenue and gin up gate revenue. That's all this is about. They are going to say that there's a fairness issue here, that more conferences will get more teams in, which I don't believe. They're going to say there are 354, I believe 354 D1 teams, and only 20% are represented in the tournament. Look, we see this in all sports. We see extra playoff rounds, extra playoff teams. There's more wild cards in baseball. There's a play-in the NBA. It exists for money. That's why it's there. And if, Mike, there are 354 D1 teams in basketball. 325 cannot win this. They cannot win this. You're not going to get teams from one big conference. My school, Binghamton, is not getting in if we don't win the conference, right? It's not what's going to happen. You're going to get 6th and 7th place teams from big conferences, and they're never going to win, right? They're never going to win it. Stop.
Tony,
let's take a break.
Not only that, they're not going to gin up the gate because nobody's going to go watch.
No, those teams won't.
50 alums are going to watch those teams. What are they doing?
No, I mean, you try progressively to ruin something, and eventually you will. Eventually they'll say everybody gets in. They'll put everybody in eventually. Let's take a break. Coming up, Lawrence Butler started the game with an inside-the-park home run, and then Patrick Bailey finished one with his, and that sounds like toss-up.
And Cal Raleigh hit a big home run for the Mariners last night, but did a Yankee hit a more notable one?
I give you all credit for Mizorowski. I give you all credit. You were right, I was wrong.
This is not hard. I watch. I don't watch the Nats. I watch the whole league.
You should.
I watch the whole
Nobody
thing.
watches the Nats but me and Chuck Todd and Chris Saliza. It's time for toss-up. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, finishes the show, then heads out on his evening streak through the neighborhood. What's first?
Toss-up. How do you prefer your inside-the-park home runs? Lead-off or walk-off?
All right, let me just start by saying both of these home runs were tremendous. Fabulous to watch. Let's start. Lawrence Butler of the A's leads off the bottom half of the first inning last night. The first pitch he sees, he hits to the right center field wall. And he just keeps running, puts his head down, and he just keeps going. He slides headfirst into home. There's no throw. The throw doesn't even get there. So, boom, it's 1-0. And the other one, Mike, is better. The other one, the Giants are down in the bottom of the 9th inning. They're down 3-1. There's 2 on. Their catcher, Patrick Bailey, steps up there, hits one off the top of the wall in right field. It caroms crazily. I thought it got all the way to left field on the track, and everybody keeps running. 3 runs score. That throw to home gets closer, but there's no tag or anything like that. And what I would end with is saying he's a catcher. How many catchers hit inside the park home runs? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Tony, it's the walk-off. It's not close. The other home run that happens in Sacramento, in the minor league ballpark the A's are playing in right now, you're not even in your seat yet. You're walking around, you're getting a dog, you're getting some popcorn, and it's a curiosity.
First pitch.
There's some first pitch in the bottom half inning. The guy's running the bases, and you go, what is this? Is this some kind of marketing thing where the kids are running the bases before the game? You don't even know what the hell's going on. Anything that happens in Oracle's better. Oracle is one of the 3 great ballparks in Major League Baseball. Wrigley, Fenway, Oracle. Oh, I'll throw Yankee Stadium in there. That's the list. And if it happens in Oracle, which used to be AT&T, you got dimensions, you got McCovey Cove, you got all kinds of stuff that make it give you a throwback sense to the 1940s or 50s when ballparks were asymmetrical and the ball could go forever and you got inside the park home runs. It's Oracle. It's the game winner. The guys running out of the dugout make it more dramatic. The whole thing makes it a no contest.
Fabulous.
Sorry, Oakland A's guy.
I would include Camden Yards. I think that's a great ballpark. What's next?
Toss up. Who had the most notable home run in the Yankees' rout of the Mariners last night? Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, or Cal Raleigh?
Okay, it's not Stanton. It's his 2nd home run of the year. They were already up in the game. It made it 4-0. Okay, so what? Judge hit his 34th home run of the year. It's a lot of home runs. His 4th in the last 6 games. He's having a great year. Okay. No. Cal Raleigh hit his 36th home run of the year. That's the most in the major leagues. It is now Cal Raleigh's record, most home runs by somebody from Seattle before the All-Star break. He just broke Ken Griffey's record, and it allows me to say big dumper. Big dumper, big dumper, big dumper.
Yeah, but the notion that it's a record is big dumper. Because people don't know, there's not the same number of games before every All-Star break. That's why it's bogus. It just allows people to get on TV, most of them under 40, and scream, "It's the first time it's ever happened." We don't know that. Do you know how many games that were played by those Mariners before they got to the break? No, you don't know. No, the people screaming on television don't know.
Well,
it varies.
Somewhere in the 80s.
It's not the same number of games.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, so it's the notion that it's a record is completely and utterly bogus, so people can get on TV and radio and say record.
Here's what's not bogus. He's got the most home runs in all of baseball right now. He's got the most. That's a big deal. Big deal.
It's roughly, we're past the halfway point. I'll care if he's got that on October 1st. The answer to the question is Stanton, because it was 1-0 and made it 4-0. And by the way, if the Yankees are going to be any good this year, it can't be just Judge, right?
That's right.
Tim Kirkjian told us that a couple of days ago.
That's
they got
right.
to add somebody, and that somebody is Giancarlo Stanton.
Maybe without one of their best players to start the season.
And the Thunder sew up another young star to big money. I'll take big money over big dumper. That's just me.
Is that what we want to call you, Big Money?
Yeah.
Right?
I'd like that. I want it to be
Mike
true.
Big Money Wilbon?
I want it to be true, though.
Big money.
Not true right now.
It is true. Happy time, people. Happy 69th birthday, Tom Hanks. Yeah, Tom Hanks, the great American actor. He is in one of the most wonderful sports movies, A League of Their Own, where he plays Jimmy Dugan, the manager of the women's baseball team, the Rockford Peaches. Hanks has the unforgettable line, "There's no crying in baseball." He has been Forrest Gump. He has been Ben Bradley, who was our editor at the Washington Post. He's been Mr. Rogers and Apollo 13 astronaut Jim Lovell and Walt Disney and airline hero Captain Sully Sullenberger. He made one of the great rock and roll movies of all time, That Thing You Do. And Tom Hanks is a diehard Oakland A's fan who is crestfallen at them leaving his hometown Bay Area.
But that makes me wonder if he was out there in the hundreds of people on average who would go to those games. I told you I'd wander over from the Warriors. They were playing for championships.
Yeah.
And there were 85 people in that mausoleum of a baseball stadium next door. I mean, if Tom was in there yelling and screaming and waving something and buying hot dogs, even better for him. It was something sort of charming about it, even in its emptiness.
Happy anniversary, Joe Sakic. On this day 16 years ago, the first ballot Hall of Famer retired after 21 seasons with the same franchise. The Quebec Nordique became the Colorado Avalanche, and Sakic scored 625 goals and 1,641 points for them. Sakic led the Avalanche to the Stanley Cup in 1996 and 2001, then won another in 2022 as the general manager. Sakic was playoff MVP in 1996, league MVP in 2001. He's the third person, along with Milt Schmidt and Serge Savard, to win a Stanley Cup with the same franchise as a player and GM, and he's in the Triple Gold Club for winning an Olympic gold medal, a World Championship gold medal, and a Stanley Cup.
How can a league be better served, a hockey league, by having teams in Carolina, Florida, and not in Quebec City? What? Huh? Come on now. The NHL should have found some way to address that, like the NBA is going to try to find one soon, I hope, to address not having one in Seattle. Don't do that. It's bad for them.
Happy trails to the start of the NFL season for Tristan Wirfs. The Bucs' first-team All-Pro left tackle aggravated a right knee injury earlier this offseason. He had arthroscopic surgery on Tuesday. The Tampa Bay Times reports that Wirfs is likely to be placed on the physically unable to perform list to start the season, making him ineligible for the first 4 games. 26-year-old is a 4-time Pro Bowler and the team's highest-paid player. He protects Baker Mayfield's blind side in the passing game. In the running game, the Bucs improved from last in the league 2 seasons ago to 4th overall last year.
Tony, he's a great player of unquestioned toughness. I'm not a bettor. But if I was, I would say, really, he's going to be on the PUP list after arthroscopic surgery? I'd be all that shocked to see him on the field much sooner than that, earlier, sometime in September. I'm just saying, I'm just wondering.
Thank you, Dr. Wilbon. Update on the Ken Griffey-Cal Raleigh debate. Griffey's Mariners played 88 games before the All-Star break in 1998. Rawley's Mariners have played 91, but both Griffey and Rawley started 88. Hot shot. Let's go to the big finish. Aces star Asia Wilson left last night's loss to the Liberty with a wrist injury. Is that cause for concern?
Yeah, because we don't know the results of the MRI yet. I hope we don't have any concern. The Thunder signed Chet Holmgren to a 5-year rookie max extension that could be worth up to $250 million. Your thoughts?
So they got him locked up. They got Gilgeous-Alexander locked up. Those are their core players, some of them anyway. Nikola Jokic reportedly won't seek an extension this summer. Is that a big deal?
Yeah, and it could be a bigger deal if he decides to walk, but by not signing, he can go for like $77 million more in a season by waiting a year. We'll see. The White Sox snapped the Blue Jays' 10-game winning streak this afternoon. You surprised?
A little, but the White Sox are better this year than last year. Last one, Paris Saint-Germain beat Real Madrid 4-0 in the Club World Cup semifinals this afternoon. Your thoughts?
PSG's trying to win everything. They play Chelsea on Sunday.
We are out of time. We will try to do better the next time, and I am Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knucklehead. King Griffey Jr. hitting a cavernous ballpark. The big dumper hits in a phone booth. Don't equate those two.
Oh,
don't
stop
do it.
Whining. Come on.
More on tonight's PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon. Who is the most important person in Kentucky sports history?
Tony, any list is going to include names that we're very familiar with, as old as we are, and sometimes people we knew, like Wes Unseld and Dan Issel. And you can go from corner to corner to corner, and Kentucky's got great athletes, a lot in basketball, but a lot of great athletes. But this conversation, to me, is always going to center, and maybe emotionally, around two names, Cassius Clay and Adolph Rupp. Cassius Clay because he is the greatest. People don't even know anymore below a certain age that GOAT is Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali saying, I am the greatest of all time. That's what GOAT is. Not Jordan, not LeBron, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. And then when you get to Adolph Rupp, who you can get to sooner in terms of chronology, you're going to get to the discussion of whether or not he was a segregationist. And that conversation is always emotional. It offends his family members and supporters. And so it causes great resentment among the people that say, wait a minute, how many black players did he have at the University of Kentucky and all those times on the hardwood? And that conversation will take you off in a different direction. But regardless of where it takes you, those two men are the names you have to start and perhaps end with, Clay and Rupp.
So I agree with that right down the line. I'm looking at the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I'm trying to decipher what is it most known for. Cassius Clay was born there, but his accomplishments did not necessarily take place there. I don't know that he ever fought there.
That's right.
What it is known for is thoroughbred horse racing and college basketball. Those are the two things that you and I have been to Kentucky to cover on numerous times. Every sports writer has been to the Kentucky Derby, and every sports writer has been there for college basketball, not pro basketball. I know there were the Kentucky Colonels in the ABA, but no, it's not that. It's college basketball and horse racing. And because this says what is the most or who is the most important person, I can't say man of war. And I can't say citation that are Kentucky-born and bred horses. I would have said Secretariat because you know I'm in love with Secretariat, but Secretariat not born actually in Kentucky. And I'm not going to list a trainer. That you're getting into the weeds when you start listing trainers. College basketball, though, people won national championships. Adolph Rupp, Joe B. Hall, Rick Pitino, Tubby Smith, John Calipari, Denny Crum. Everybody knows them. I mean, they won national championships. So I think because I believe that college basketball is the signature sport in Kentucky, I think I would go strictly on most important, and because his accomplishments were done there. He won 4, Mike. He won 4, and the number that I got in my head is that he won 27 SEC championships. That's a lot of SEC championships, 27. So I think I'd probably go with Rupp while acknowledging that he's not as famous or as important to the United States of America as Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali. He's not.
Tony, you know, I still, in my head, I see that photo, the black and white photo of Ali like this, and it's really more about defending himself against the person who stole his bicycle when he was 11 than it was about fighting in a ring. And I think about that, and I was at Muhammad Ali's 75th, I guess had to be a 75th birthday party that was in Louisville. And it's something I will never, ever, ever, ever forget. And Ali goes atop just about every list anywhere for me. That's it.
So the important thing here to say is they ask us to do this on a regular basis because we're so old that we actually remember enough people from all of these states that we can talk about it.
And we're there.
Half of the people,
very old.
Half of the people don't even know the names we're mentioning. They don't even know them. So
it's over. And that's why we're throwing it now back to you.